get part of the conversation. I'm glad to see a goodly number of you out there have found us. Thank you. The number is 713, that's Houston, 222, that's like downtown, 0715. Give us a call and talk to me and John on Ray and the Radio. Excuse me, John, I have to do that about midpoint. So
no, that's fine.
Unplug it. It has something to do with the archives. I don't know. It's kind of like those weird things that you're talking about.
It's your show, whatever you want to do.
So let's talk about the afterlife. What is that?
Well, the afterlife is a very controversial subject. I believe that the scientific community does not want to acknowledge any afterlife, even though I believe there is good scientific evidence for it. I believe they don't want to acknowledge it for the main reason that once you find out if there is a God in an afterlife, then people are going to start saying, well, it's my God. You know, the Christians will say it's their God, Muslims their God, Hindus their God. I have been, as I said, a Christian for 15 years, so I pretty much had my schooling that there was an afterlife. But after I started learning about this ancient extraterrestrial stuff, there was a moment in my life when I was thinking, well, okay, so maybe there is no God. Maybe we're all just aliens. Well, where does that leave us? And then I started asking my dad about it, and he started talking to me about paranormal stuff. And I got the idea that if paranormal stuff is real, then technically wouldn't there be some kind of soul to go on to? Because having an afterlife for me is very important, and people can attack me and say, well, maybe he wants to believe it, and I do want to believe it. I have found in my research, which is one of the books I'm working on, there is actually clear evidence for things such as souls, ghosts, reincarnation, different dimensions, all that all come to a conclusion, which I have created a triangle, where at the top of the triangle is God, at the right point of the triangle is soul, and at the left side is reincarnation. And I believe that even if you prove that souls are real, then God must be real, because who made the souls? Or if reincarnation is real, then the souls must be real. Why? Because what's reincarnating? And
it's got to be something that passed from physical form to physical form.
Exactly.
Okay, I get the triangle. I got the geometry of this down. But what does God look like?
I don't know that he has any looks. Next time I see him, I'll tell you.
And we've been joined by a caller. Hello, caller. You're on the air.
Why, good afternoon, Mr. Hill.
Good afternoon. How's the road?
It's fine. I had a question for you, and as well as one for you, guest.
Okay.
The one for you is, when did you learn how to operate a remote?
What do you mean, when did I learn how to operate a remote?
You said you could use a remote control for a TV, and I was just wondering when you learned how to operate one.
Well, I've already got the buttons worn out on the one that in my house. Once the television is on, I can operate it.
Oh,
so that's a conditional qualification.
Now I understand. The question for your guest was, in Graham Hancock's book, he talked about the pyramids in Mexico were actually much older than the ones in Egypt. I was just wondering what your caller's opinion of that was.
All right, I will get him to answer it, and thank you for calling.
You bet.
Well, you got a point on that?
I'm not too crafty with the dates. I remember reading something. I remember reading about how Graham Hancock dated the Egyptian pyramids. Off the top of my head, I can't remember anything about the
Isn't
Mexican
Graham Hancock the guy that said the Sphinx older than the pyramids?
Yes.
That's that guy. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so I've read some of his books, too. Sometimes I get confused with the names. But one thing is obviously clear, is that considering the sophistication of the civilizations in far South America, did those people really have time to come over as savages over the Bering Straits and wander down through the Americas, apparently swimming part of the way when they got to Central America to go down there and build those civilizations with that sophistication? Is there something wrong with that calendar?
I believe so, because if you ask any people that come from that amount of place, such as the Hopis, and a lot of Indians, they believe that they came from the south, but archaeologists want to say they came from the Bering Strait because they found a few tools along the way. And if you read a lot of ancient things such as the Sumerians and all that, the Sumerians say that their gods, the Anunnaki, which means those from the heaven come to earth, created humans, kind of like in the Bible. It was actually the pre-Bible, and then people actually got stories from the Sumerians and created the Bible. They branched out, and with them they took slaves to do their things because they were on Earth for such a long time. Eventually, they say, okay, well, we don't want to do this stuff anymore. Let's create these people that work for us. And they branched out, and some people went to South America, some people went left, right, up, down, and take that as how you want it.
Sure. So the global thing, if you're coming from outer space, it's not far from Arcadia to Peru.
Not really.
That's literally in the same neighborhood. And what happens when because of global warming? Global warming man-made, or is it just part of the natural cycle?
It's part of the natural cycle. You can see it happening in just about every planet right now, but I don't think our pollution is helping it. I don't think we're helping ourselves.
So we may be supercharging the global warming thing, or the climate change thing.
Poking our dad to give us a smack.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
What do you think about the future? I mean, God, I'm sitting here. I'm 70 years old. I'm not going to live long enough to see much of it. But hey, kid, you're just starting. The future belongs to you. What do you think about it? Are you optimistic, pessimistic?
I think in October 21st we're all going to die.
Wait a minute. I have a birthday on the 13th. I'm going to die at the age of 71?
No, that's just the new prediction.
That's the new prediction. That's the same guy.
Yeah, same guy.
The same guy, yeah.
Mr. Camping.
But Mr. Crank 'em out, end of the world theorist.
Yeah.
Why do these guys, think that, all right, this one didn't work. Let me give you another one. Try this one. It sounds like used car salesman. All right, so that car won't start. Let's go to the next one.
Yeah, it's there's been hundreds and hundreds of these apocalypses. And not one has happened, but hey, let's keep our fingers crossed, right?
No, but really, I mean, you're what, 22, 21, 21. All right, you're looking down the long road ahead.
Eric von Däniken in his book Twilight of the Gods showed not maybe clear evidence, but he showed a few texts that said that the gods, quote-unquote gods, which I believe are extraterrestrials, would actually come down, like Jesus' second coming, and come back. And supposedly this is happening on December 23rd, 2012. If that doesn't happen, then I think we're just going to continue to expand. Eventually we're going to overpopulate, and, we're going to be falling off the face of the earth almost.
It's not going to end with a bang. We're just going to choke in our own garbage, right?
Yeah, it's horrible to have hindsight but no future sight. We can always look behind ourselves and say, darn, we messed up, but we'll never look to the future and say, okay, let's prepare for that.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think so.
Well, the Mayan calendar says the great Savior was going to show up on a certain date, and they said, here he is, and it turned out to be Cortez.
Year one of the reed, yeah.
Yeah, and that wasn't good news for them.
Yeah. Let's hope that it's going to be a bit better for us.
Well, I heard one explanation of the reason the Mayan calendar ends on December the 21st, 2012, next year, is the guy ran out of ink. And he had to go get some more ink, and he got busy doing other things. His wife sent him on errands. All right, you're on the air, whoever you are.
Hi, Ray.
Hi.
Hi, I'm really enjoying your guest today.
Well, I thought John might make some interesting conversation. I'm glad you called in.
It gives me hope that 21-year-olds are out there actually being smart instead of just watching American Idol and whatnot.
That's a nice
I suspect a goodly number of them are actually thinking.
Gives me hope. But my husband just handed me the Urantia book, and it seems like John's got a taste of that. Are you familiar with that, John?
I'm sorry, what was
The what book?
It's spelled Urantia.
Urantia?
Yeah,
Urantia?
because
Yeah.
a lot of
I've heard of it. I've never actually looked into it.
well, a lot of what you're talking about, your theories, you might want to check it out.
Okay, a lot
About
of
aliens and Christianity and
well, actually, this has been floating around a while.
Yeah, I've heard of.
Yeah, this is not. Van Daniken kind of was a pioneer, but actually, what Van Daniken had to say hit some familiar thoughts that were already out there. Is that fair?
yes, it is.
So a lot of folks were kind of thinking the old explanations are not working, so we need new explanations.
Right.
And so then a lot of caller, why is this search important to you?
Oh, well, I actually believe more in Gnostic principles. I don't believe the Bible is complete as is, and there's a lot more stories out there. But I do also believe that we're not alone in this universe, and I'm listening to what your guest is talking about, and again, this Urantia book came back up in my thought process, so you may want to check it out.
Okay, thank you very much for calling.
One other point.
Okay.
There's been a lot of chatter recently on the tornadoes, on manipulation of the weather patterns. I was wondering what your thoughts are on that.
Well, actually, let me do one thing, then we'll turn it over to him. Actually, there's some scuttlebutt out there that the Russians, who are somehow people trying to make them the big enemy again, actually know how to do all of this manipulation.
Well, there's supposedly a base out in Alaska. That's not the Russians.
It's us.
It's us.
Yeah, last time I checked, Alaska was ours. Oh my God, you think that Sarah Palin's doing all of this? I knew it! I knew it!
All right, guys.
Okay.
Thanks for the conversation. Bye.
What about weather manipulation?
That's a very interesting point. If you ever, for the caller who just called, if you ever look up a book, try looking up William Bramley's The Gods of Eden. He shows clear indications that whenever a natural disaster happens, there's always some UFO activity. And I was thinking, yeah, okay, maybe every now and then they had this volcano, and they had a video of a light coming out of it, or they're actually a formation of lights, and everybody was like saying, oh, it's just a bunch of ducks and all that. Why ducks are flying around volcanoes, I don't know. And so then...
Well, duck. A volcano, duck! Doesn't that make sense?
And then I start seeing this... then we had the earthquake in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And the day after that happened, some guy actually had footage of a UFO flying around. And if you look in the ancient scriptures, doesn't matter which ancient scripture it was, whenever something bad happened, I'm talking about a flood, talking about Sodom and Gomorrah when stuff rained down, the volcanoes, whatever, the gods were always involved. So if you take the idea that the gods were extraterrestrials, then you also have to kind of go with the idea that maybe they were causing some of these calamities. Because maybe it is population control, who knows? Maybe they've been holding back and now we're up to 7 billion people, who knows? But the thing is that with all these catastrophes, you always had the gods behind it. And so...
Well, the Greeks would have certainly thought that was evidence enough for that. That is a wonderful book called Power by Doc Burrell. I was talking about it earlier in a lecture. And it begins with the gods discussing the earth and how to operate it from the mountains,
didn't
Pergamum.
Didn't they have that famous picture where the two guys were holding the antennae, and it was it's Earth, and then there was God and Jesus, and they were